Break down those movements now. Gary Booysen, Director and Portfolio Manager at Rand Swiss, joining us this evening. A very good evening to you, Gary. Let's start with that overall market. Not a very explosive start to the week on the JSE. Little movement, if you will, closing marginally in the red. The only kind of movement that we did see was on the industrials, driven by heavyweights Naspers and Prosus. But what would you say were some of the other catalysts that contributed to today's market performance?
So as you say, a little bit flat. Only the industrials up just over 0.1%, helping to lift the overall index. But the overall index, pretty much flat on the day. So, we've seen a big recovery on the Naspers Prosus share price over the last, say, 12 months. That stock up around 100% at the moment as China reopens, and that really driving gains. Got the resources off a little bit. Nothing specific out there. It was really down to the company news. I think everyone looking at Calgro, Vodacom, and of course looking at the big recovery that we've seen in the local currency as well. And it's horrible to say that the local currency has had a big recovery and is now trading just above 19 Rand to the US dollar, but a huge improvement from the 1951 lows that we saw on Friday.
Absolutely huge improvement indeed. And let's get into those company updates. Let's start with Vodacom. They're singing the same song that other companies are singing around load shedding and the pressure that it's putting on their margins. But overall, still a solid company, still being able to produce some decent numbers. Your thoughts on their results today?
Well, I thought the results were decent. So there's a couple of things inside there that you need to bear in mind. So one, revenue is up 16% to around 120 billion Rand for the full year. But that includes Vodacom Egypt. They're also, obviously doing the Vumatel and DFA, so Dark Fiber Africa transaction as well, which is juicing that revenue line a little bit. As you mentioned, net profit still flattish, up 2.1%, but earnings per share actually down 6.4%. And that's as those they needed to issue shares to buy at least Vodacom Egypt from Vodafone, and that just maybe diluting earnings a little bit, sending that negative. The dividend per share at 6.70 Rand, also down 21.2%. But this is now in line with the new dividend payout policy that they've announced. So they are paying out 75% of earnings. With the earnings under a little bit of pressure, you saw that dividend coming off, but exactly in line with what they've telegraphed to the market. So overall, I think a good set of results. What's happening as well is they have increased their outlook. So the group service revenue outlook has been lifted from kind of a mid-single-digit outlook to mid to high. So that's also optimistic for the company. And overall, market, I think, took it in its stride, only marking the share up about 0.25% today.
Calgro M3, they're releasing their numbers as well today. And I mean, it was a solid set of numbers. I think it was one of their highest profits that they've ever reported. They, of course, provide affordable housing through the projects that they initiate, but also them indicating that they're done with KZN and all the mafia that they've had to deal with, Gary.
Yeah, so Calgro, interestingly, we actually chatted about Calgro when they released their trading statement a couple of weeks ago. And earnings per share, they were forecast to be between 147 cents and 158 cents. And they came in absolutely dead in line with that, so midpoint of guidance. So the market did like the commentary around it, though, marking the stock up almost 4% on the day. And what they're saying is they're really feeling the opportunity in the property development and the housing space, specifically in the 500,000 to 600,000 Rand segment. So they do apartments between 500,000 and call it 800,000, and then they do freestanding houses between call it 750,000 to 4 million. So they're saying that kind of lower segment of their base really seeing increased demand for those kind of value lifestyle estates. So the demand is still there. They just need to build them.
Thank you very much for that update, Gary Booysen, Director and Portfolio Manager at Rand Swiss, joining us for the wrap of the markets. And that's